Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, I think today's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I'm really going for how many promotions can we cover at the start of the year before we get to WWE at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, we WCW, Ring of Honor, New Japan to start the year. I pointed this out before we hit record, but we're watching these on 3 different streaming services: Peacock, YouTube, and Daily Motion.
Right.
To really hammer this home, next week we could cover a ECW match and watch it on VHS.
We could, yeah, absolutely. Break out the DVDs, which WWE no longer producing DVDs. A little upsetting, but what are you going to do, you know?
I mean, I just don't know what scenario. I don't know. Maybe people like collect them and like to have them on their, shelf and look at them. I don't know. I mean, I was a tape collector. I had hundreds of wrestling tapes growing up, and then I bought all the DVDs. The real crime here is what we all spent on DVDs.
Oh God, it's awful. If you get anything back, you lucked out. But yeah.
Well, remember, DVDs were $20, $25, and I sit there and I'm thinking all the movies I had, I had a decent amount of wrestling shows, all the TV series that were $100. I spent a hell of a lot of money, thousands of dollars on DVDs. They're completely worthless.
Yep. I have at this point sold all of mine off to kind of used stores and stuff like that. But yeah, I looking back, like if I could have made a financial decision at the time, I would have never bought any of them, especially now that we know with all the streaming. Yeah. But, oh, well, at least we got YouTube for this match. So, yeah, this is one, again, just covering a lot of different stuff. I wanted something a little bit different on this one. This was a very young AJ Styles as well as a very young Bryan Danielson. And so who doesn't want to talk about that? I think that it's interesting. This was at that point, too, where Danielson really had a reputation for being just one of the best technical wrestlers. And this is where we're going to see a lot of that. And so should be a good match, should be good stuff.
I'm pumped to cover it. How's this not going to be awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this will be really good. So,
yeah,
all right, let's jump into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So, this is, you probably know better than I do. Is this like peak Ring of Honor? Is this close to peak Ring of Honor?
I have no idea. I don't think anybody.
Okay.
I will kind of look it up here.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this probably was about as good as it got. I wasn't watching it, but I was hearing about it. I was just hearing how awesome it was, and hey, it was really focused on wrestling. I'm gonna wait until the match goes. We'll talk about that. It's a long match, so we'll talk about why I think Ring of Honor worked and what we can learn about it. So January 28th, 2006. So we're 17 years ago. We're in Cleveland, Ohio at the Cleveland Grays Armory. We have about 600 in attendance. A young man by the name of Adam Pearce defeated Jay Fury. Jimmy Yang defeated Jay Lethal. Tommy Mamaluke, Sal Renaro, and Delirious defeated the Embassy of Jimmy Rave, Alex Shelley, and Abyss. Low Key defeated Jack Evans. Ace Steel and Claudio Castagnoli defeated Nigel McGuinness and Chad Collier. Generation Next of Austin Aries and Roderick Strong defeated Lacey's Angels of BJ Whitmer and Jimmy Jacobs to retain the ROH Tag Championships. Chris Daniels defeated Matt Sydal, who is Evan Bourne. And then in the main event, we had Danielson and AJ Styles, ROH World Heavyweight Championship. So, I mean, Ring of Honor was doing a lot right now. I'm sure there was a really logical, good build to this. So walk us through it, man.
Yeah, so at this one, you got AJ Styles. It was actually Glory for Honor, who was September 2005. So like I said, we are January 2006 when this show is taking place. You had Styles defeating Rave with Mick Foley with the stipulation that the loser could no longer use the Rave/Styles clash in Ring of Honor because they were both kind of using the same move. At This Means War, which is October 2005, you had AJ beating Generation Next leader Austin Aries, who was attacked by the Embassy following the show. At Vendetta, November 2005, Styles had his final match against the Embassy when he, along with Austin Aries, Jack Evans, and Matt Sydal, were defeated by Abyss, Alex Shelley, Jimmy Rave, Prince Nana in an 8-man tag match. Had that feud kind of continuing, and then you had the first show of 2006. Styles wrestled and beat Matt Sydal, which the two agreed to form a tag team and challenge for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship that was held by Sydal's Generation Next teammates Austin Aries and Roderick Strong. Before receiving a shot at the tag team title, Styles received a shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship. He was actually handpicked by Bryan Danielson to have that match. So this was kind of going on both. You had this ongoing storyline with the tag stuff, as well as these guys had a match. And so this was actually a little bit of a rematch with these guys as well, too. When they were getting into it. Along with that, Danielson, he had actually beat James Gibson for the World of Honor World Championship at Glory for Honor 4. That was back in September. He really had successful title defenses against everybody from different wrestling, Pro Wrestling Noah, a couple different things. Like, he was just all kinds of good stuff. And so it was actually as well, too, there was a little bit of a feud going on with Chris Hero, who was from CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling. They invaded Ring of Honor. They targeted Danielson. So there was a lot of moving parts with this. I guess Ring of Honor, it's kind of organized chaos is a good way to put it. Of you have these guys, all kinds of weird stuff happening and going on. And so, but it was really just kind of, they wanted to have a match. You got to be good to get that phone call. And that's why they decided to have a match, plain and simple.
Well, I'm looking forward to this one, man. We found it on YouTube. It's actually the Ring of Honor channel. They have 785,000 subscribers. I mean, it's there's something there. It's just this reboot thing that Tony Khan's trying to do sucks. Anyways, so we have the full match. It's ROH Throwback Thursday. Bryan Danielson versus AJ Styles. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's do this.
All right. Let's jump into the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
All right, here we go. They're tied up.
Right out of the gate here. Yep. 2 minutes timestamp.
Yep. Sorry. Forgot to mention that. 2 minutes on the timestamp.
It's like it's our first episode, man. What are you doing?
I know, right? Seriously.
Tied up. This, like I said, where are we at here? This is the Cleveland Grays Armory. I know you and I have been in a few armories on college campuses and things like that before. We know that it's not, it can be a little dingy, can be a little dark, and that's exactly what you got here. You can see the basketball hoops are up in the rafters. You got the ceiling fans here, not the craziest venue ever, but this is where Ring of Honor takes place, though.
Yeah, man, I like the speed of the tie-ups and stuff. It was a good way to start the match.
Very fast, yeah. These guys.
So look, I didn't watch much ROH at all. I kind of tried to follow along with the names and what was happening, and occasionally might catch a match here and there. But to me, the reason that ROH worked in 2006, for instance, when this match took place, is it was so much different. And different cells, right? Why was the NWO successful? Because it was so much different than the cartoon bullshit that WWF was feeding us. Why did the Attitude Era work? Well, because it was different than what they had been doing. This ROH stuff worked because TNA Why did it work? Oh, different work style, 6-sided ring. It was just a different presentation. And that all leads to my point, which is AEW completely missed this. Tony Khan completely missed the lesson. The lesson was you have to be different than if you're going to compete. And even from the very beginning, I remember that first AEW show I went to. It was Double or Nothing, right? Their first pay-per-view. Yep. And I just remember thinking, this is just like WWE. Yes, it was different names. Yes, they worked a little more aggressively. It was the same shit, Jeff. The entrance was the same. The ring's the same. JR's on commentary. It wasn't different enough. That was the problem. And it's only gotten worse. Yep. Because now it's, let's bring in Ric Flair. Let's bring in Edge. We have Chris Jericho. Hey, Miro didn't work. Let's bring him over. Hey, Malachi Black didn't work. Let's bring him over. Big Cass. I mean, it's the same shit that we've been watching. There's nothing new. So that's the problem. That's the issue. And it's a lot easier to pay big names to just come over and do their same shit. Oh, it's the rated R superstar. It's the same thing. We've seen it. There's nothing new to this. And that's the problem. And I don't know why AEW and Tony Khan didn't say, look, we've got the Young Bucks, we've got Omega, we've got all these young guys. Let's just own that we're different. We're way different. We're not going to apologize for being different. We're just going to own it and run with it. And that's what attracted me to AEW, and that's why I was willing to give it a chance. But now it's like, yeah, I'm just watching retreads on there. It was cool to sign Chris Jericho at the beginning of AEW, but you use him to put him against the Omegas, to put him against the Hangmans, to expose him to these different guys. And then you should have made Cody your biggest star, right? Mm-hmm. Not had a falling out with him and caused him to leave. So
or Punk, it's just whatever. Yeah.
I mean, but that's the issue, is that the reason this worked, Jeff, is it was so much different. I mean, think about what WWE was giving us in 2006. It wasn't these types of guys. It wasn't this style. And was ROH ever going to be as big as WWE? No, but they did a nice little business. And And if they would have had more funding, they probably could have grown quicker and maybe gotten a better TV deal and all that stuff. So I think streaming could have helped them. I mean, if streaming was as popular now, more people would have saw this stuff as well. So AEW is just it's too similar. It's too much the same, and I think that really hurt them. I mentioned Cody. Nobody could have expected Cody to be this big of a star. Mm-hmm. And I think if Tony Khan would have known, I mean, what you maybe the biggest Cody fan in the world out there would have saw this, but don't you think your average Cody Rhodes fan, like me, I like Cody. I like the story. I like that he's following in his father's footsteps. I like that he quit the company and went off and carved his own path and made a list of guys he wanted to wrestle. Like, I was bought into it. I thought his match with Dustin at Double or Nothing was A+, 10 out of 10, 5-star. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
That being said, would you have, and tell me, would you have ever thought this guy would be the new John Cena?
Oh, yeah.
Mega baby face, #1 merchandise sales. Incredible. Would you have ever thought he would walk into WWE and get that ovation at WrestleMania, sell that much merch, be this big of a star? Did you ever see that?
Nobody did. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
But you had it. You had that. You had that guy. That guy worked for you.
Well,
and nothing. And oh, by the way, WWE did nothing to change his character, change his look, change his music. It's not like you can. I mean, you look at Cody's success. WWE's booked him really well. Don't get me wrong, but WWE didn't create that. They didn't make Cody Rhodes. They didn't create the American Nightmare. They didn't build that entrance music. They didn't, create his story in a writer's room. All of that shit existed in AEW, and they just could not make it work.
Well, and this goes to a few points here of like, yeah, with Cody, like nobody was, the rumors were there. I remember that we didn't know what was going to happen when he came out and fought Seth. We all knew it, but we didn't know it. But also like, why would you change that packaging? And I think that we've said this before, and it speaks to it's just AEW didn't know what to do with it because you're right. They haven't changed how Cody is presented at all from AEW. Like he is the same character. It's all the same stuff. And like you said, same music, same finisher, everything. And because of that, I think it just more than anything proves like AEW didn't know what to do with it. And so I think a lot of this too is, okay, so he has made some big, acquiring Ring of Honor was a big deal. He's gotten a lot of gets from AEW. From WWE that have come over to AEW. And so, but on the flip side, like what has been a bigger deal? A wrestler jumping from AEW to WWE or flip that? Like when Jade Cargill came over, like huge, like they built her to be a rock star. And then in so many words, we all saw like when Triple H was like, yeah, but she really did not get any of the training that she should have got. And so I think like we're seeing, and that's why I said, I think I said that last week, like how many, like it's crazy to say this, but is AEW like, are we past the 86 weeks at this point? Like, at what point in the, I say beating WWE, which they're not. But at what point are we going to say like, okay, like AEW is on the decline here. And that's why I think more and more like we're going to see wrestlers start to jump because would you rather be at the top of AEW's card? It feels crazy to say this. Would you rather be at the top of AEW's card or be in the mid card at WWE and probably have more visibility? Like, I would go to WWE and make more money. Like you figure your schedule's a little bit easier. Like, it's weird, like kind of some of the situations they're in. But yeah, I think like same with Punk. They built literally built a brand new show around him. And then less than a month later, he's gone. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on backstage? And we hear it all the time. Like, we know the different producers for matches and WWE pay-per-views, and they've streamlined that stuff to like, boy, more than a 6-match pay-per-view on WWE. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be such a long night. But man, you and I it's 2-3 screenshots when I got to send you an AEW card. Like there's 12, 13, 14 matches on some of that. So I guess, yeah, if you're paying $60 for that, sure, it's worth it. But at the same time, like, I'm ready to go to bed at 11 o'clock. Like, DIY has taught us, or DIY a while ago, and then Punk more recently has taught us, like, this is kind of like the concert's not over until the house lights come on. Like, don't trust the copyright graphic until it has switched to something else on AE or WWE. And so, and even then I'm still, it's over by 11:30, something like that. So yeah, there's just, we could point to the laundry list of just like terrible decisions that they're making that we're going to look back on it one day and be like, we saw the writing on the wall. Why didn't everybody else? Or do they? I don't know.
It's a great point.
So very technical.
Man, it's amazing how much younger AJ looks. I know Danielson looks younger too, but AJ just looks like a completely different person. It's kind of wild.
Yep. And so both guys look super young, kind of very technical, a lot of arm, like on the mat wrestling, stuff like that, which is what we knew. We know it's Danielson's style and stuff like that. And so it makes sense. So yeah, we're just kind of watching these guys still go at it though.
What would you, so from my perspective with ROH, I don't blame Tony Khan for buying it. I'm sure he spent next to nothing for it. No issues there at all. What I don't understand is why try to commingle the two? Why not say, look, this is a standalone promotion. Yep. We're going to do TV tapings. We're going to air it on YouTube or try to get a TV deal or do whatever we can, but it's going to be a separate property that we film, completely separate rosters. They're the only pro of commingling is you create awareness, but now it just blends together. It waters down both promotions. It just, hey Joe, you're going to be the head of you're going to be the biggest star in ROH, and we want you to be champion to make some of these younger guys. Are you cool with that, or whoever it might be? But let's just Joe's a great example of who that could be, and you just go with that, and then you bring in these younger guys. I mean, they have all these guys signed that never make Dynamite and Collision. They're never on TV, so it's your NXT. And if you don't have a farm system, then how are these guys getting better? They're not working house shows. They're not working independents. They're just sitting there. They're not getting any better. They're not creating a character. They're not getting better in the ring. So use ROH to do that. Oh, well, what if, ROH doesn't do great? Who cares?
Yeah.
And the purpose of NXT was not to generate revenue. The purpose of NXT was to create the future stars. It just so happened that people enjoyed it. So then they started doing house shows. So then they got some local TV. So then they, started putting stuff on the network. People started to watch. So they said, well, we could have a standalone event. Then they had their own PLE. I mean, but all that happened organically because it was just a damn good product. And you and I watched it. We went to house show. We went to shows. Yeah. I mean, I've been to PLEs. It was just awesome. And it's still really good. I don't think it's as good, but it's still good. The shows are fun. They're certainly worth a watch. But this stuff is not that complicated. But Tony decided, hey, we're going to throw all these belts on TV and we're going to commingle it together. And what the ROH means nothing. I don't even know if they have a TV show. I have no idea what they're doing now.
They've got some pay-per-views and stuff like that, but yeah. Well, and I think an easy factor to look at, and you and I were talking about this recently, was like ticket sales. Of like where it like we were saying you're going to pay more for parking at the venue than you were for your ticket sales for an AEW ticket. Like but at the flip side, when I was trying to get was it Backlash tickets or whatever, or Payback tickets, whatever, a couple months ago, like I couldn't get a ticket for under $200 here. Like just crazy type numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're getting people in the, I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, it turned it into like a Disney ticket. Like, it's just crazy to try and, get there. And if you, especially too, like then to go and have a bad show, like, man, like I know without a doubt, and I would tell any fan if they're like, oh, do I do an AEW or AEW or WWE show? I like spend more money, go to a WWE show because it's going to be better. Like the weekly TV, like it's just going to be better, plain and simple.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I told you AEW's out here in February. As of now, tickets are dirt cheap. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't be. I mean, I'm waiting. I'm just going to get them on StubHub because if they're $45 face value, I guarantee I'll get it for $25.
Well, I feel like this is what was it? The Carolina Panthers tickets not that long ago were selling for 50 cents or whatever.
50 cents.
Like, yeah. You could get in and out for literally two or four quarters. You could get tickets. Well, taxes too, but still, like they're still not going to break the bank with that type of stuff. Just crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my kid. I'll get some like higher, lower bowl tickets for $20. I'll sit by an exit, sit on an aisle. And that way when he, is bitching and moaning, we can take a walk instead of trying to get out of the middle of an aisle. So that's my strategy here.
I will bet you a beer who starts complaining first, you or your kid. And so like
he's having a good time and I'm sitting
he's having a good time.
I'm
fucking sick of this shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure the show will be loaded with dream matches though.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. Yeah, sure. About
I do hope it'll be like a month before Sting's last match. So I'm actually maybe I think 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm hoping Sting's there. That'd be kind of cool to see him one more time.
I haven't looked. Are you bumping up? Are you on the front end or back end of a pay-per-view too? And so that could maybe make
it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks before Revolution. The one with Sting.
Got it. Yep. Nope. Makes sense.
2 or 3 weeks. So. Yeah, I mean, hopefully he's there. I mean, I guess see Sting, see Flair. I mean, it'd be fun. I mean, it's not. I will tell you, I'm not a Sting mark. So, I mean, I don't dislike the guy. I'm just like, whatever. The Sting Undertaker match was not a dream match for me. Sting kind of coming out in the t-shirt and doing a dive where people catch him. It's just like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine if you like Sting. I'm just kind of never really been a major fan. I would say if I was making a list of like most overrated stars ever, he'd be on my list. Again, just it's all subjective. It's just my personal opinion, but yeah, he'd be up there. I like Randy Orton right now, but I've never really understood the Randy Orton thing. He's always been on my top 10 of overrated. Yeah,
I don't.
Do you agree with that?
I 1,000% agree with you. My brother and I were having this conversation when Randy Orton returned, and we're like, why does Randy Orton get the pops that he gets? Like, they cheer for
mega pop at Survivor Series, mega pop from the Chicago audience.
He is a top 5 pop, easy, if not top 3. Yeah, and that was literally what Orton is so fucking over. Like, that's all he said. And he's like, it blows my mind why this guy gets a pop he does. Like, yeah, he's not wrong. Like, it makes no sense to me. I got a friend too, like, again, like, so high. I don't like, dude. And to his credit, he looked good. Like, I'm not gonna. He was really good on the mic. He's always been good on the mic. Like, I feel like he could be that. Not to, he's a legacy, but be that legacy superstar where he could. How much longer does he have in the tank? Like, he's got to be in his mid-40s at this point. But also, like. Yeah. Go out there and work, like, shit, we're bumping up to that. And so to see him out there doing what he does, like, Randall Keith can keep doing it. And so he's 43 and he turns 41 in April. So crazy, but
yeah, just never really got it.
But hey, I'm not going to not watch him though either. So yeah.
No, of course, no. Well, I'm not complaining. I mean, good. Put him in a prominent spot, and I think there's a lot you can do with him, and right. I got no problem with it. And I think he's a great attraction.
Yeah.
Tell me this gap of Survivor Series to Royal Rumble, no PLE. For me, that just feels like an eternity. I know we've had like that day one pay-per-view, I think, or
so they're bringing Raw. They've renamed that. I don't know if you caught that. Like, now at this point,
I saw that
day one was now just a Raw. But yeah, so
but the idea of like I don't know. It just feels like the right cadence for a PLE is every month, every 30 days. Yeah. Give me a really good card. God, I'll tell you, it's. And I haven't really heard this mentioned much, but like the difference between WWE in 2023 and 2013, I mean, it is so good right now.
Yeah.
And I'm 39 years old. I have plenty of other stuff going on in my life. I don't necessarily, I don't watch a ton of TV. I don't have a lot of free time, but like, I like watching Raw and SmackDown, fast forwarding through it, of course. I love watching the PLEs. The roster is loaded. The stories are good to great. The audiences, the international stuff. I mean, going to Paris, going to Australia, like that's cool.
Those are crazy.
It's just really fun to watch right now versus, pre-network, you had to pay for these pay-per-views, which means you didn't pay for them, or you drove to a bar to try to watch them, and those watches were always terrible. Like I used to do that sometimes. I'd go to like a local place. There was a place was 20. Yeah. Well, our place was like 20 minutes away. It was a Sunday night, so it's like I'm not getting loaded. So like you're sitting there like drinking water, like you ate a burger 2 hours ago. It's just like weird, like versus hey, I get to Saturday, Sunday night, get to sit in my house and watch this for free. It's just so good to be a fan right now. And that's why I pick on AEW a little bit and I have some fun on Twitter, but man, it is awesome to be a wrestling fan right now. It's free. There's a ton of content. The content's really good. The wrestling's good. The storylines are good. The stars are good. The crowds are hot. They're doing different stuff. I mean, God, it's like it was a throwaway B pay-per-view. How good was that Puerto Rico thing?
Oh my God.
That shit was awesome. And that was right after that was right after a 2-night WrestleMania.
I think it's just especially with the Rumble, because it's coming up in a couple weeks here. I think it is interesting. I've been okay with the build where they announce, people should be announcing as soon as Survivor Series is over. Let's start announcing. Like, let's get into it. You can do both the men and women. I think it adds a little bit to it. I hate when they announce every single person. You don't need to. Do a little tournament to see maybe who gets into the Rumble or something like that. Maybe even add a little bit, because Elimination Chamber is, so it's actually very quick after that. The Royal Rumble is the 27th, which is upcoming. Elimination Chamber, which is in Australia, is the 24th of February. So it's less than a month that those shows are taking place. So your build is actually very short between the two. Why not, do a little bit of build for both? Why not have it be like, hey, maybe, something with the Rumble, and maybe the loser gets like the last Elimination Chamber spot or the last entry, so that they could do something like that. There's all kinds of ways to add to it, because then after Elimination Chamber, which is February 24th, Mania is the next show, which is the first week of April. Like you say, AEW has Revolution. There is an NXT show in early February as well too. Just a Vengeance Day, but for the most part, like we're riding from Elimination Chamber. We are on the road. Like, that is it. Like, even post Rumble, we're on the road, but we got to start focusing on all that and kind of what's happening. And so, I think we're in store for an incredible build. I think we talked about it. We fantasy booked it a couple weeks ago of what we think we're going to see this year. I think that we're going to see one of the better WrestleMania cards ever, just because of the quality. I also wonder, like, it's almost like the Oscar snub though, of who's going to get left off, who's going to be like, who's not going to get, who's going to end up in a tag match, who's going to end up in the Andre Battle Royal that shouldn't be there type thing. There's just a lot that's going to happen between now and then that I think it's just, it's going to be crazy. I'm really excited. Through all of that, like, we're watching Ring of Honor, we're talking about AEW. I have zero desire to watch any AEW at all between now and WrestleMania. Like, they're doing nothing that's like, put your eyes on our program.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know we're not alone in that.
No, and I have friends. I have a couple friends, or friends that are a couple, that they they order every AEW pay-per-view religiously. Like, and I can go over there. They live a couple hours away, so I don't. But I know I have an open invitation. I'm not shitting on them for what they do, but this is like, I just, like, I'd go and hang out with them, but the show itself, like, I just, whatever. Yeah.
So this match, I mean, it's just been fantastic. It's it reminds me a little bit of the match we watched last week, of that New Japan style, where, I mean, just beating the shit out of each other. It's not spot festy. I mean, it's just stiff, man. I mean, right? Do you think that's a fair way to describe
totally.
it?
I think you said too, like, it feels real. Like, and it's weird because they've got maybe 5 or 6 rows of people. There's no upper bowl. It's literally, they're sitting on a gym floor. I feel like there's standing room only. I feel like we see people in line for the bar back there too. Like, just ridiculous how these guys went. They're literally doing a 30-minute match in a gym where they have no reason to go out and do this. And this is, like I said, Danielson just kind of called him out and wanted to have this match. Like, would you even, I don't even know if I would understand what I was watching at the time, because I have done a it was a New Japan Ring of Honor show. I talk about it from every once in a while. It's in Dearborn, Michigan. It was a War of the Worlds. I was looking back at photos of it, and it had Damian Priest, who was Punisher Martinez. Cody was there, like, Naito was there from New Japan. Tanahashi was there. Kushida, like, the biggest names in wrestling ever. And I don't even think, looking back on it, I respected it as much as I could have. Like, these people in this, like, there's no way you can realize what you're watching and respect it as much as you should, because, like, we just didn't know at this time in 2006, like, what these guys were. Because, like, God, a few years later, like, we know what they turned into. Yeah.
Yep. And this isn't even one of the I mean, they had matches, they had main events that were going an hour, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Whoa, kind of catching him there. What's your timestamp? I've had a couple ads pop up. I'm at 28.
I'm at 28:24. 26, 27, 28, 30.
Right, I'm with you. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Oh,
I pay, I don't know what it is, maybe like $10 a month for like the YouTube premium. So I get way less ads, which I kind of like.
it.
Yeah, I don't know why I got it. I think it was more for like my kid just because ads were popping up and he was getting annoyed when his cartoons were playing or something. So, all right. So top row. Oh, geez. Suplex off the top.
So we're talking. All right, you got YouTube TV. We know what is it? WWE is going to the CW. Like, where does AEW land? Like, what?
So
what?
So as of this recording, we don't know. So if something already happened, we were in the dark in this moment. But as of now, we don't know what AEW is going to do. Here's the thing. We can rattle off all the networks, right? Oh, well, there's, Amazon Prime and there's Netflix and there's Hulu and there's USA and there's TNT and TBS. But how many of them want to be in the wrestling business? Yeah. So there's not a ton. I mean, again, yes, you could end up on, some of these channels we've never heard of. And, it's like, oh, well, AEW's on the, fishing network now. But like realistically, there's not a ton of options. However, how many of them are like, yeah, just wrestling's not our thing. It doesn't fit our brand. Or, hey, we watched a guy drinking another guy's blood and that's just not something we're going to put on our TV. So yeah, no, thank you. Right. So I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of options out there. And I think that the mistake that's been made so AEW and so the same with WWE. They're content companies. Okay. They produce content and they get paid for that content. Yep. That's what they do. All right. The live events, the merchandise, the sponsorships, all of that's wonderful additional revenue, but it's a small portion of it. So they make their money by selling content to Peacock, USA, Fox, whoever it might be. So AEW's success or failure really hinges on the TV deal they get. That's what drives everything. The TV is what drives the NFL. The NFL doesn't give a shit whether you buy a jersey or not, or you show up for a game or not. It doesn't matter. Okay. Mm-hmm. They could have no fans, but have a great TV deal and be thrilled. Okay. So yes, if you're a business, you try generating revenue every single way you can, right? We want to sell hats and t-shirts and teddy bears and lunch boxes. Great. But realistically, you make your money on TV. So AEW, the whole thing's been, okay, well, they're going to get a new TV deal and it's going to be a really big TV deal because, WWE got a big TV deal. There's no guarantee.
Yep.
TNA would be massive right now if they had gotten good TV deals along the way, but they didn't. They were on pay-per-view and then they had to pay to be on Fox. And then I don't even know where all they've been on TV, but all these networks that I've never heard of. If at any point, Spike TV said, look, TNA, we're going to give you $50 million a year for the next 10 years for your television show. Well, there would be no AEW because TNA would be really, really popular, right? So like, I don't know what's going to happen, but AEW's success is not going to be based on attendance. It's not going to be based on t-shirts sold. It's not going to be based on 5-star matches. It's going to be based on, is there someone out there that will pay them a lot of money for their TV content? And it's a yes or no. And I don't think there's that many options because of the genre. I think that, Live Golf has more options than AEW wrestling when it comes to networks that would consider putting them on the air.
Yep. I think too, there is a lot of really bad options for them too. They end up on Spike TV, they're dead. Like they end up on YouTube TV, they're dead. Like your audience instantly, like on the flip side, when the WWE moved to Peacock, they gained a gigantic audience with that of like, it was already built in. Like I was watching Peacock already. Like, so, okay, give me more content. Like you said, like, I'm perfectly fine with that. On the flip side, you get like so many of these. Are we tapping? We're tapping.
That's it.
We got a tap there.
Boom. All right.
Danielson for the win. Okay.
Danielson retains over AJ Styles. All right, let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. What'd you think?
Good match, though. Overall, it was a little long, but still a really good match, though. Like, I'm not going to complain at all about that.
Yeah, I know it was kind of a style, but I did think it was long. I just thought it was like I think that 20 minutes would have been better than 30 in that situation.
Yeah, some matches can go 30, but that one not. But overall, it was very, very good, though. So what happened here? You had AJ. He actually went away for a little while. He returned before Death Before Dishonor 4 was July 2006. He beat Davey Richards, actually. And so then going on, he actually returned Time to Man Up. He lost to Samoa Joe. And then he would take several months off from Ring of Honor following the match. However, Ring of Honor continually referred to the match as his final match and even played a special tribute to him. So kind of playing it up that way. Danielson, of course, he went back with the Chris Hero stuff and the CZW wrestling. And so kind of having that match, it was actually, he ended up having a match. It was Samoa Joe and Danielson at Fight of the Century, August 5th, 2006. That was a 60-minute draw. So there you go.
Jeez.
2006, AJ Styles 13, Bryan Danielson 16. Just the Observer newsletter on this one, who isn't there, but he said in Cleveland, the match of the weekend was Danielson over Styles to keep the Ring of Honor belt, which we've gotten from reports. It was either 4 or even 4.5 stars. They started out technical and Danielson spit in Styles' face. They had a long, excellent match with Danielson winning by submission with the chicken wing. Styles worked the match Danielson style, which is more the classic old school world title match style rather than the TNA faster pace style. Fans cheered both men, but cheered Danielson more, and Styles healed a little on the fans against him. So not an official 4 or 4.5, but that was the unofficial reports from the crowd. Meltzer not starring it, just kind of what he was hearing from the reports. So we're going to put this one for your score.
I have this as a 7. I mean, it was a good wrestling match. I just thought it was a little long, and it could have probably used a little variety. I mean, getting outside the ring a little bit. I don't know. I mean, really, really good, but just not a wow match for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm at a 7.5 because it was a really good match, but I'm with you of I just feel like there was a little piece that maybe was missing. Maybe, it's just because it was Ring of Honor. Maybe I'm just not in the mood to watch a Ring of Honor match. Who knows? Just the style was a little bit different, not in a bad way, but it just is. But I, no complaints though either. So I'm going to stick with a 7.5 on this one. And, it was good.
Okay. Well, we liked it. We thought it was a good match. I'm glad we covered it. I like mixing it up. Headed into WrestleMania season, I know we're going to do a lot of the bright lights, big stage matches. So nice to mix it up with some other stuff, man. You did a great job as always.
Yeah, so we speaking of bright lights and what we got going on, so letting everybody know, the next couple of weeks we are ready to go.
Oh man, I thought you were going to turn bright lights into a Manscaped ad.
Oh, I could have. Sorry, and so that's all right. And
if your significant other likes to go at it under the bright lights,
yeah, you got to perform. And so it can be tough walking through that curtain, but don't make her look through the curtain and keep it all clean, keep it all trimmed. Manscaped, of course, .com. Using that promo code payoff, as always, it's always been 20% off, free shipping. We're giving you the good stuff, so make sure that you're checking that out. We love them around here. We got all their stuff. Everybody else should too. So so next couple of weeks, we're going to Mania a little early next week. It was time for CM Punk match, and so we're doing CM Punk and The Undertaker from WrestleMania 29, and then going a little bit lighter after that, just Monday Night Raw, actually, with Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair in their Loser Leaves Town match, which led to some good stuff. So, yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So
can't wait for that one.
I got it pretty stacked for us, throughout that. We got some matches with Bray honoring kind of Bray Wyatt and his memory as well too in February. But then we got some stinkers in there too. I see the White Castle of Fear strap match that everybody loves, and so we're gonna give there'll be some bright lights, but there's also gonna be some lights that need to be dimmed. So it'll be all right.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm pumped. All right, dude. It's like I said, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, it really is.
We appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you on Twitter, and we'll see you next week on an all-new episode of